Vaughn's band, Nana's Blanket, and Jeff as E.T. There's a lot to talk about in this episode. Hey everybody, I'm Chris, and this is the Community Study Guide, and today we are looking at Season 1, Episode 8, Home Economics.
This condo is all that's left of me. Every part of it is a part of who I am.
Is that a bidet?
That part's for resale value.
This episode is about the things that we want. Some cling to comfort, some to image, and some to control. But all of these characters are fumbling towards something a little more honest, whether they know it or not. And we begin with Jeff Winger, passed out in Spanish class, dressed worse than he was in the pilot, which I know is a fixation I have, but we're all gonna have to get over that.
Yeah, I'm funny.
Also dressed as someone he would have made fun of previously. He is clearly off his game. Shirley and Britta notice, but the story takes no joy in the mystery of developing it. It all happens pretty quickly.
We were just talking about how in today's economy...
Living in your car, you are living in your car. I'm sorry, I'm not good at being coy.
He asserts outwardly that he is doing fine, but a study group are all pretty concerned, with everyone offering some insights and help.
Nothing like betting a woman in the vinyl back seat of a Skylark.
With Abed even offering Jeff to shack up for a bit.
You can stay with me in the dorms. My room has a bunk bed, which is kind of a misnomer because it's the real deal.
But Jeff is clinging to his old life, to the old him. And even as the walls close in around him and continue to escort him out of that life, he's clinging to what it was. And it's not even until his temp home is taken from him that he reaches real rock bottom.
Stop! That's my house!
Can I live with you?
And that same tension, clinging to identity, trying to figure out what you really want out of life, that threads through home economics. And it surfaces early with Jeff desperately trying to reclaim his old life.
No, your incredulity perplexes me, nerd.
But when all that fails, he turns to Abed, hoping to uncover whatever secret formula makes him so content living off cereal and reruns.
Can I not be Kurt Russell in this scenario?
You can do whatever you want. You just have to know what that is.
You can do whatever you want. You just have to know what that is. That is some sage-like existentialism shiz. Abed says it with cereal.
Called special drink.
This all breaks something in Jeff as he quickly adopts the lifestyle of way too many of my college roommates. Literally speaking, though, Jeff's old life, his old condo, wardrobe, all of the curated flash, that was a facade. It was packaging. If he had the stuff, he could believe he was that stuff. Successful, charming, a man of taste. So when all of that crumbles around him, he's still grappling with that idea that there is nothing actually under the surface. He even drops some daddy issues that we could all analyze.
TV never forgot me at the zoo. TV never abused and insulted me. Unless you count Cop Rock.
It's the cable guy.
But I think the idea here is that this adoption of Abed's way of life is the new, but as empty, facade for Jeff. Meanwhile, Vaughn is back, kicking off a Britta and Pierce story.
Vaughn. Oh, the guy with the tiny nipples you did it with.
Oh, gosh.
I got band practice late.
Can't we still be friends? Don't talk to Vaughn.
That is girl for talk to Vaughn.
Pierce does seem like he wants to help Britta smooth things out, and she's still raw with that breakup, so she asks Pierce to not get involved, and so naturally he does, and things quickly shift and focus for Pierce throughout that journey that happens off screen, in which he joins Vaughn's reggae-inspired band, and even co-writes a passive-aggressive banger called Getting Rid of Britta.
I'm getting rid of Britta. What am I doing? I'm getting rid of the bee. She's a no good bee.
It's never said outright in the dialogue of this episode, but the show's already laid out the groundwork here that Pierce doesn't want to be seen as an embarrassment. He wants to be seen as something more. So he stumbles into the same kind of existential crisis as Jeff, weighing the wants that will direct his steps. So even if Pierce doesn't articulate his motives, his choice make it obvious. He wants to matter. And in his own clumsy and chaotic way, he kind of does, as we'll go on to see. But also, Annie wants to be seen as well, specifically by the right person, and not by Patton Oswalt.
I'm kind of the Hawkeye around here, so it's kind of a... Are you seeing anybody?
She's still harboring this infatuation with Troy, who friend zones her in a way that I thought was pretty clever writing.
Say there are two friends, and They're in the same class, and one of them wants to ask the other one out on a date. I can't believe I misled you like that. Randy can be the name of a guy or a girl.
Now, in this friend zone, she gives Troy her Nana's heirloom picnic blanket, like a part of herself, really, for this date Troy has with another girl, masking this as a friendly gesture. Her desire for Troy is clear, but it's also in clear conflict with the part of her that only wants to chase controllable outcomes, that version of herself that stays safe and stays unseen. This conflict within her explains her final moments in the resolution of her story. After failing to fake appendicitis to stop Troy's date, there's this setup for her big moment, a strong rom-com climax vibes, but she can't bring herself to settle with which desire should dictate her steps. So she reclaims the blanket, at least, and she tells Shirley that this was huge. And like, maybe it was taking back the blanket, even if the subtext falls flat on someone as oblivious as Troy, is her moment to be seen. It's not a public declaration of love. It's not a kiss in the rain, but it is a step towards realizing and grabbing what she wants.
I don't care what you think. For me, that was huge.
Pierce is taking his own kind of steps after basking in the glory of
Getting rid of the bees. She's a GDB.
Second, Pierce.
Calling Vaughn out not to defend Britta, but to defend himself, he demands respect, or at least would settle for the illusion of it. It's all loud and clumsy and entirely driven by Pierce's desire to be more than a joke, just once. And it perfectly fits how Pierce is used several times throughout the series, with wrong intentions landing him in accidental noble territory. Britta thinks this is all a selfless stand, a genuine act of solidarity for her. She thinks him quite touched. His stand, though, isn't without consequences. Not only is his old sack hacked out of the band, Vaughn turns his vitriol towards Pierce.
My own person, and Pierce, you're a bee. Yeah, you heard me say it.
So while the crowds laugh and Vaughn keeps roasting, Pierce leans into it because there is even this little nugget of being laughed at is still better to Pierce than not being seen at all. But Pierce and Annie's story of desires and motivations and conflict reveal the deeper meaning behind the episode and Jeff's storyline. As Jeff takes on this new identity solely driven by the id, it would seem, Abed sees trouble. Even though having Jeff as a roommate benefits Abed, he knows it's not good for Jeff, so he enlists Britta, specifically her Perry's, to dangle Jeff's libido like a carrot. If identity won't pull him out of this, maybe his desires will. But what follows is another sitcom twist. Britta gives this grandstand speech in this final act, but instead of throwing herself on him, she just reminds him of his former life, committing grand theft faucet in the process in order to jar Jeff's brain back into considering what he really wants out of life. That level of existential clarity, aligning your desires and your behavior, that is like the highest good that humans can achieve. Of course, as long as your desires are somewhat pragmatically moral.
Lucky Charms?
Which is for another video, I guess. In the process of her speech, she betrays her own worldview, which I found really interesting because I think even for her, what's being revealed in the story is that her highest desire isn't to just rage against the machine, isn't just to topple governments. It's the same as Abed, to help her friends. Triggering Jeff's innate shallowness seems to have the desired effect. Shacking up in a motel and looking for an apartment, which I'm assuming they're suggesting is more humble living than living in a condo, but I'm not sure that's landing for me. Either way, this is a great instance of the Harmon story circle. Jeff started fine, went on a quest to fix a problem, pays a price, learns a lesson, inches forward just a bit. He started fine, he's ending fine. That's what I loved about this episode, is that everyone's desires are in conflict, with settling those desires leading towards their next step. Jeff wants comfort, control, and not to feel like a failure. But he also wants authenticity, connection, and maybe redemption. His desire for escapism keeps him in a fake version of peace until he admits that it's not working and takes steps towards something real. Pierce wants to be cool, relevant, and respected, but he also wants to stop being the punchline. His joining a band fantasy crashes immediately with his need for dignity, and in the end, his actions reveal that all he really wants is to be seen. Annie wants Troy's attention, but she also wants to protect herself from rejection. She gives everything except honesty until she reclaims that blanket, a small step towards risking rejection to protect her self-worth. And it's very small in this episode, but Abed wants stability, friendship, and the story to work. But he also wants what's best for Jeff, even if it means losing him as a roommate. He plays the director, but he knows that sometimes the story has to move on, even if you're written out of those scenes. I think I might love this episode. It inches us forward in the series too. The jokes all hit in layers, physical comedy, one-liners, and honestly, Vaughn's song kind of slaps. It's all very sharp without seeming like they're trying too hard. And there is a soft meta layer at play here too. Abed and Britta frame Jeff's arc with movie logic, and the show takes its pokes at sitcom tropes and rom-coms. Not the most overly meta episode, but like normal, Abed's presence keeps it pretty self-aware. And this is a great character episode. Like, this was the first time in this watch through that it felt like we didn't have to do a ton of legwork for setup and explain people's motives. The pacing was all great. The show is starting to click, and the process of knitting this group together in more intimate and dysfunctional ways is here. We've arrived. Jeff and Britta move past this flirty tension into something far more nuanced. Abed's dynamic with Jeff previews what will later become the show's emotional core, friendship as chosen family. And then pairing up Troy and Annie and Britta and Pierce continues this idea that the show is going to continue to cycle through these different character combinations. And just because I haven't talked about Shirley at all in this study guide, she has maybe the best line in the entire episode.
Damn, I picked the wrong couple to fall out of class this morning. Jeff and Britta are dead air.
Home economics is a low-key standout. Pacing, writing, acting, and directing, it all works together to create something that I was kind of delighted to sit down and watch this week. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
Cool.
But that's just what I think about this one. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Thanks to all the people who support the channel, whose names are all scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And be sure to attend class next week for the study guide on Debate 109. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.